You know, they always say that marriage is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. The day you commit to spending forever with someone you love. But what they don't tell you is how quickly that can turn into regret. How easily that perfect moment can shatter with just one mistake. My name is Sophia, and I've been married to Ethan for exactly 3 months. Well, it was 3 months until I ruined everything, in less than 3 days. Let me explain. Ethan and I met in college. It wasn't love at first sight, but it was the kind of relationship that felt right from the beginning. He was kind, thoughtful, patient. We never had any of those huge ups and downs. Everything just clicked. I honestly thought we were perfect for each other. And when he proposed to me on a trip to New York, I said yes without hesitation. Our wedding was everything I had dreamed of. Beautiful, intimate, full of love and family. We were young, but everything felt right. And then came the honeymoon. We decided on Las Vegas. I know, not exactly the typical honeymoon spot, but we wanted something exciting. The bright lights, the extravagant hotels, and endless entertainment. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to kick off our new life together in style. We checked into a luxurious hotel on the Strip, a place so glamorous it almost didn't feel real. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. The first night was magical. We went to fancy dinners, saw a Cirque du Soleil show, and wandered the Strip hand in hand like tourists in love. But somewhere between the drinks and the excitement of being in such a big city, I started to feel restless. I had never experienced the kind of freedom Vegas offered before. Everywhere we went, there were people having fun, doing whatever they wanted, and I felt a pang of envy. Ethan was amazing, as usual. He was sweet and attentive, making sure everything was perfect for me. But something inside me started to shift. I wasn't unhappy with him, but I couldn't shake the feeling of something missing. It wasn't about Ethan, it was about me. The excitement of being in Vegas, the bright lights and flashing signs, made me feel like I was living in a different world, one where anything was possible. That's when it happened. On the 3rd day of our honeymoon, we decided to take a break from the crowds and relax at the hotel pool. Ethan went off to gamble for a bit, and I stayed by the pool, just reading a book and soaking up the sun. That's when I noticed him. Lucas. He worked at the hotel, a poolside server, and he kept glancing my way. I'd seen him before, and we exchanged polite smiles, nothing unusual. But today there was a spark. Maybe it was the way he looked at me. Maybe it was the way I was feeling disconnected from everything around me. But whatever it was, I couldn't ignore it. He came over to take my drink order, and we started talking. At first it was just small talk. How long I was in Vegas, what shows I'd seen, where I was from. But as the conversation continued, something changed. He started to flirt, lightly at first, but it didn't take long for me to feel it. The attraction, the rush. I tried to ignore it, but the more he smiled, the more I wanted to smile back. He was charming, fun, and seemed to get me in a way that I hadn't felt in a while. I knew I shouldn't. I knew this wasn't the person I was. I had just married Ethan. I loved him. But the temptation was too strong. I let myself be swept away by the moment. It was supposed to be harmless, just a little flirtation. But that's when things went too far. Lucas suggested we take a walk around the hotel, away from the pool. We ended up in one of the quieter corridors of the hotel, and before I knew it, we were kissing. It wasn't a planned move, but I felt like I couldn't stop myself. The kiss was thrilling, forbidden, and for a moment it felt like a rush I hadn't experienced in years. But it was wrong. I knew it was wrong, and in the back of my mind, I could hear a voice telling me to stop, to walk away, but I didn't. I kissed him again. And that was the moment everything started to unravel. By the time I realized what had happened, it was too late. Ethan was back at the hotel, and when I got to the room, I tried to act normal. But he wasn't stupid. He could tell something was off. The guilt was eating me alive, and I didn't know how to make it right. But before I could say anything, he looked at me with that familiar, concerned gaze. "Sophia, what's wrong?" he asked. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. I opened my mouth to confess, to tell him everything, but the words wouldn't come. How could I explain it? How could I admit that in the middle of what was supposed to be the happiest time of our lives, I had done something so stupid? I tried to push it aside, but the guilt weighed on me like a ton of bricks. It wasn't long before I got my answer. I walked into the bathroom to collect myself, hoping the cool water would calm my racing heart. But when I returned to the room, Ethan was gone. The door was wide open and his suitcase was missing. I stood there for a moment, completely frozen. I ran to the door, calling his name, but he was already gone. He had left without saying goodbye, and all I could do was stand there, a sense of panic rising in my chest. I tried calling him, but he didn't pick up. I sent text after text, begging him to talk to me, to let me explain, but I knew deep down that I had lost him. The love I had with Ethan was gone, shattered by one mistake. A kiss I never should have shared. The next day, I received an email. It was short, direct, and final. I'm leaving. I'm done. This marriage is over. There were no words of anger, no accusations, just a simple declaration that our life together had ended. I tried to fight it. I tried to call him, to beg him to come back, to give me another chance, but he didn't answer. I found out later that he had already been in contact with a lawyer. He wanted an annulment. He didn't want to waste any more time on someone who couldn't keep their vows. Now, I'm here. Alone. No husband, no honeymoon, no happily ever after. I tried to tell myself it wasn't my fault, that it was just one mistake, one moment of weakness. But I can't hide from the truth. I hurt him. I betrayed him. And now I have to live with the consequences. It's funny, isn't it? How one decision can change everything. How one mistake can turn your world upside down. I used to think I knew what I wanted, but now all I have is regret, and a lesson learned too late.